is the safest place to live in Wynncraft? That's what the goal of today's video is to find out. There'll be 3 main categories that each location in the game will be ranked on. The first category is safety. Are there monsters within or around the town that'll jeopardize the safety of it? The second thing is accessibility. How easy is it for you to get to the place you're living to another place? The third category is community. This is more of a good or bad type of deal. A good community is both actively present and not against humans living there, because you are probably a human if you're watching this. And a bad community is one that either prosecutes humans or is just not really there. With all that said, let's begin the rankings. To begin, though the province of Wynn would have a very high community score, since societal issues have been kind of ironed away by the constant warring, the fact of the matter is, corruption makes this place quite bad. There are monsters roaming everywhere outside of every town, so not only is your safety not that high living in Wynn, to go from place to place you'll likely have to fight or outrun many monsters, which gives Wynn a very poor accessibility score. In particular, Rhymek and Tempo Town have it pretty bad. Since Tempo Town is just starting out, his community isn't that strong. And since Rhymek is both at the bottom of a canyon and full of thieves, it's probably one of the worst places to live in Wynn. To add to the rest of the Wynn analysis, both of these places would be no-goes as well, because though the frozen forest of Nisak does stop the corruption, there's still a high density of hostile mobs both in the frozen forest and in the jungles. I'm not even going to mention the House of Twain, it's a very bad place to live. And then there's the Silent Expanse. Lutho has no easy way to access any other place in the game, is surrounded by awful monsters, and most of the community there is inside of a dreamland, so honestly, literally the worst place to live in the entire game. And the best place is Deadless, because alongside being the capital, they even have airships leading to Gavel, and a tunnel leading to Ragni, which gives it the best accessibility score of any town in Wynn. But what about Gavel? Well, the community score is going to go down a bit, because a lot of places here are lived in by villagers, and apparently humans aren't allowed to settle here. Alongside this, despite the lack of corruption, there's decay, which makes getting from place to place hard as well. So accessibility here is pretty low as well. And in places especially like Rodorok and Amsord, which have a canyon blocking them from the rest of the continent, they have a particularly bad accessibility score. Probably the best place for you to settle in would be Elton, because it's probably the only place in the entire continent in which humans are allowed to settle at all. Live anywhere else in Gavel, and you'd probably get prosecuted, which isn't very good. What about Caucus? Well, Caucus scores very low. The community's mostly nice, but there are people in there who will hate you for not being a Caucian. Alongside this, accessibility to other places is pretty bad, because it's an island which refuses to use the services of the Sea Skipper. And to top it all off, it doesn't even have a good safety rating, because rogue robots roam the continent. All of those locations sound bad, so how can we decide which is the best? Well, we haven't gone over everything yet. What we haven't mentioned yet is the ocean. The ocean tends to have the best safety ratings in a lot of its islands because there's no monsters out here. But surely there's no place in the ocean with a good community of people and great accessibility, right? Wrong. The best location in the entire game to live in would be Celchar. Celchar is completely devoid of hostile mobs, so you're guaranteed a safe life if you live in Celchar. Considering this is also the capital of the ocean, there's also a good mix of people here who won't hate you for being human. And to top it all off, since this is basically the Sea Skipper's headquarters, one boat ride is all it takes to get you from Celchar to Caucus, Gavel, or Wynn, giving it probably the highest accessibility score in the entire game. So, to summarize this video, the worst place to live in the game is absolutely Lutho, with the worst safety and accessibility in the game, alongside having a community that, though not bad per se, just isn't really there. And the best place to live in the whole game is Celchar, for having a pretty good community, and both the best safety and accessibility in the entire game. This has been Duoface, and if you happen to be a person who owns real estate in Celchar, you're welcome. Have a good one!